Here's a list of 30 absolute bargain wonder kids in Football Manager 2023. A wonder kid is a player who starts off under the age of 21 in the game and has the potential to be world class. And we're starting off with Diogo Pinto. Do hit the like button and the subscribe button, by the way, if you're enjoying the content at any point. That really does help us out. We're heading towards the 5k subscriber mark, so see you there at the party. Diogo Pinto is a young goalkeeper who you can pick up for less than £1 million. It's fair to say that he's got a lot of growing to do. He's got a lot of learning to do. He wouldn't be straight in my first team, for example, but he's got the potential to be world class. He's 6'5". He's got natural fitness of 15 already at that young age, which is not to be sniffed at. My scout tells me that he's got a balanced to normal personality and should have no problems adapting well to living in another country, which is key. Harvey Arujo next, a young English left back with a balanced personality and natural fitness, as well as composure and passing ability at this young age. He's got 17 passing. That is unheard of for a 17-year-old left back in Football Manager 2023 or any other iteration of the game. You can pick him up for around £5 or £6 million from Fulham straight away. My scout tells me he's good in the air, has a balanced to normal personality, and his passing ability underlines his technical prowess. You don't say. 17 passing from a 17-year-old. Mad. Now, it's important to say that some attributes can be variable from save to save, and some players' potential can be variable from save to save, but they're normally there or thereabouts. And next up we got Enzo Bayomo, a balanced centre-back, a 20-year-old Cameroonian player. Very well rounded already at this young age. He's got 13 for strength, stamina, vision, decisions, concentration, technique, passing, marking, heading and first touch, as well as 14s for acceleration, which is really handy in a centre-back, work rate, determination, anticipation and tackling already. I really like this guy. He's got a minimum fee release clause of 3.4 million, but you can pick him up for less than that anyway. And my scout tells me he's a fairly consistent performer. This is an underlying stat that I talk about in every single video, and I think it's really important. And if you find it in your scout report for your players, it's a huge green flag for me, literally. Ivan Munoz next, a 20-year-old Spanish balanced personality centre-back with a decent left foot. He's insane at tackling already in this save at 20 years old, decent at marking, heading, positioning and composure, all the things you would want him to be decent at. And he's also decent at jumping reach as well with 14. But look at this though, when you go under the bonnet, my scout is telling me he's a very consistent performer. It's rare to have such a young player have such a dark green pro in terms of very consistent. These pros illustrate hidden attributes within the game, just like dribbling, crossing or finishing. So very consistent performer, for example, is a hidden attribute from 1 to 20 called consistency. The same with adaptability, for example. A slight red flag here where it says fairly susceptible to injuries under the cons list. That's another hidden attribute from 1 to 20, injury proneness. You do not want a player that's injury prone, so something to look out for. This can vary from save to save. Stipe Buick next, an amazing name, a 19-year-old Croatian balanced winger with some really good attributes and also some real versatility if you look at the position map on the side there. 14s with dribbling and flair already, as well as agility, means he's probably going to go on to be a really good wide player. Again, fairly consistent performer here in the pros is an excellent sign. We can see he should have no problem when adapting to living in another country as well. You can pick him up for about 4 million quid, so another absolute bargain. Rodrigo Gomez next, an 18-year-old right winger from Portugal. He's got a balanced personality, and you can pick him up for probably about 7 million quid. No real standout attributes yet at the moment, apart from really his acceleration and pace, which is already at 15, but you can see he's going to be a decent wide player as well. And when we look under the bonnet, we can just see a ton of pros and not very many cons. Balanced to normal personality, has a great understanding of the language, can play in a couple of positions, could adapt well to living in another country, good at passing, good acceleration, and matches several signings at the new club. That's not important. Lucas Chevalier next, another goalkeeper, a 20-year-old Frenchman this time with a fairly professional personality. Already, he's got 16 decisions. That is very, very good. He's brave because he's got a bravery attribute of 14. He's agile because he's got an agility attribute of 14. And he's quite tall, 6'2". That's important for goalkeepers. On the cons list, we've got very one-footed. That's not an issue for goalkeepers, surely. Fairly consistent performer, though, and fairly adaptable, as well as handles himself in a fairly professional manner. That's a good sign. Next, Jensen Seelt. Another amazing name. I love a good name. What can I say? A dominant centre-back, being 6'4", with a balanced personality and already some really good attributes when it comes to decisions, for example, being 15, anticipation being 15, and jump in reach being 15. He's going to be very, very good, I think, in the future, and you can get him for around 10 million quid. Scout reports suggest he's a fairly consistent performer, obviously is good in the air, has a balanced to normal personality, but oh dear, could have a problem with injuries. Just could. Machoy Jalo next, another one about 10 million quid. This time we've got a Portuguese 19-year-old balanced attacking midfielder. And when I say balanced, I probably mean versatile. Right wing, left wing, centre midfielder, attacking centre midfielder, midfield left, striker. He can do anything. He's got good acceleration, agility, balance, natural fitness and pace. He's got good flair, vision, technique and dribbling. He's going to be a good player. No real cons to speak about, but he's got a balanced to normal personality, is fairly adaptable when it comes to living in another country, possesses a fair amount of pace, and is a natural in several positions. Pablo, how did this guy get on there? 21 years old, so not technically a wonder kid, but somehow he sneaked on there. Maybe he's literally just had his birthday in the week that it took us to scout him, right? That's probably what's happened. The 30th of the 6th, 2001. Yeah, there we go. Balanced personality, centre-back, 6 foot tall, but with only 10 jump in reach. He's got a lot of work to do, Pablo Ramon, to get to a decent level here. Contracted to Real Madrid, so he's got pedigree, is available for around 7 million quid. Balanced to normal personality, possesses a fair amount of pace, ability to mark opponents tightly, which is good, can play in a couple of positions, and has a fluent understanding of the English language, which is helpful. David Obo next, a Crystal Palace under 18-year-old English player with a fairly determined attribute and described by the media here as a young winger, and he's got a lot of work to do. He's only 16, so he can definitely become a good player, and he's got determination of 17 here in this save and pace already of 16, so I've no doubt that he will become what he wants to become, and you can pick him up for only £1 million. Reports are telling us straight away that he should be looking to add more consistency to his game. Hopefully that's something that young players do get better at with age. In real life that's definitely the case, but he does display a determined attitude, possesses a fair amount of pace already, and his top speed allows him to outpace players over long sprints. So for just 1 million quid, you're buying yourself a young speed demon who's a little bit raw, but could be shaped into a world-class player, really, in the future. Santiago Simon next, 20 years old, an Argentinian, fairly determined winger again. Most comfortable in the midfield right position, which is interesting. Maybe an Argentinian David Beckham, would you say? Potentially. Let's look a little bit deeper. Technique 14, passing 13, long shots 13, and first touch 13, as well as team. Wow, his mentals are insane. Determination, flair, teamwork, aggression. Reports wise, he displays a fairly determined attitude, is fairly adaptable when it comes to living in another country, and possesses a fair amount of pace. His stamina allows him to keep performing when others often get tired. Jorge Mireles next. I hope I got that one correct. Let me know down below if I get my pronunciation wrong and you know how to pronounce it. Another Portuguese 18-year-old, described as a young striker. He's got a balanced personality and has a little bit of work to do to get into my team, but you know, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. He could be world class in the future. A lot of 12s, a lot of 11s, and a couple of 13s sprinkled in there as well, and he's available for around 1 million quid, so that's a bargain. Got a lot of pace, great at passing already, has a balanced to normal personality. A big list of cons, but nothing that I would really worry about here. Being very one-footed isn't really a problem for me. Let's see how he becomes. Oh, Miragic, you know. Becker, oh, Miragic, go. Next we got Becker Ramagic. He's got 15 tackling, marking 14, passing 13 here in this save. He's a centre-back from Switzerland who looks like he could be the next Akanji, who Manchester City have recently signed. He does look really, really good actually, but he's 20 years old, so he's got to get the rest of his development done pretty fast, but I'm sure he can do that. 3 million quid tops will get you this player, which is a very good deal. Could be fairly susceptible to injury, so watch out for that, but is a fairly consistent performer and can adapt well when living in another country. Love the name. Elliot Matazo next, might cost you around 6 million quid for this Belgian 20-year-old ambitious midfielder. Comfortable in the centre of the park, and you can see by his mentals there that he is going to become a good midfielder. He's got good physicals as well, and his technicals, I would say, is more along the defensive side of the game, and you can see there, ball-winning midfielder, so it makes a lot of sense. Should have no problem when coming in, when adapting to live in another country, is an ambitious individual and works well within a team. That's the kind of player you want in your team, isn't it? A teamwork player, a team worker. Benjamin Dominguez, an 18-year-old Argentinian left winger with a balanced personality, already with dribbling of 14 and first touch of 14, as well as technique. He's got flair of 15, determination 14, acceleration 14, and pace of 14. I really like this guy. You'll pick him up for around 6 million quid at least. At most even. He's got a fairly consistent performer attribute here already, which is really, really good. Julian Jean Guerrero next, an 18-year-old Spanish player who I think we've featured already on the channel once this year. A left-footed player with 16 flair already. He's got 14 bravery, 14 vision as well, and he gets forward whenever possible. Currently playing for Real Madrid, he's got a hell of a lot of pros and a hell of a lot of cons. Unfortunately, he needs to develop some consistency and may have a problem with injury, but he's also got a load of good things about him as well. So who knows? Let me know if you sign this guy. Has he become good in your save? Because he looks like he could become really, really good in this one. Mohamed El Arouch next, an 18-year-old French player with a balanced personality, and he's described by the media as just a midfielder. He's got mental, technical, and really good physicals, and crucially is available for around £4 million. Could become one of the best centre midfielders in the world, as could all of the players on this list today, don't forget. Balanced and normal personality, fairly adaptable when it comes to living in another country, can play in a couple of positions and matches several of the new signings at the club. That wasn't important for me to read out, so just forget about it. Martin Baturina next, a very versatile 19-year-old Croatian spirited midfielder who I think is going to become very, very good. And you can see it in his stats here in this save already. Dribbling of 14 already, first touch of 14 already, passing 13, technique 14, vision 14, determination 15, and anticipation 14 as well. And for that price, around 5 million, like, he's a very, very good buy. He's already got a fairly consistent performer attribute, which is great. He's got a really good coloured, green, spirited individual, and looks like he's quite adaptable as well, because we've got a should have no problem adapting to living in another country attribute here. Very, very good. Andreas Schludgeldrup next. I still don't know how to pronounce it, but he's very good. He's an 18-year-old Norwegian player with first touch 16, dribbling 16, passing 16, and technique 16 already, vision 16, off the ball 16, anticipation 16. He's got a lot of 16s, hasn't he? Let's be fair. Fairly adaptable, displays resolute characteristics, has a full understanding of the English language, which could help. And just look at his potential ability down here on the right-hand side in this save. It's very, very good. Get a hold of this guy. It'll only cost you around 7 million quid. Teles Magno next, about 10 million quid, will pick you up this versatile 20-year-old Brazilian winger who is a spirited individual, already with 17 flair here in this save and 16 technique. Early reports suggest he's a fairly consistent performer and a spirited individual, which could adapt well to living in another country. Next we got Matheus Donnelly, a 20-year-old Brazilian goalkeeper. Could it be the next Edison? Could it be the next Allison? Could it be the next Susan? That's not a player. 10 million quid will get you this player. 14 jump and reach, 14 natural fitness, 13 on determination, decisions, and concentration, 14 reflexes already, and he's 6'2". That's very, very good. My scouts are telling me he's a fairly consistent performer, and his ability to stop shots using his reflexes are good. Firmly into the top 10 now, and we have Alex Scott, an 18-year-old English player playing for Bristol City. So you asked me to show you my Bristol Cities, and here I am showing you at least one of them anyway. Pace, stamina, agility, vision, teamwork, and off the ball, as well as determination as well. He's got good dribbling, passing, and technique. And look at that. He can play all the way up the spine of the team. That's a very weird positional ability graph, isn't it? The natural in several positions, is a fairly loyal person, and to be honest with you, is a really good signing at around £9 million, especially if you're playing in England. You want to sign the best young English players, right? Alex Scott looks like he's one of them. Matheus Franca next, an 18-year-old Brazilian player who can play centre midfield and attacking midfield and has a resolute personality. Available for around £13 million. He looks like he's got some really well-rounded attributes. In fact, if we looked at his attribute graph, which is not something I do all the time, I bet you'll see it looking lovely. Yeah, it does look really, really nice, doesn't it, to be fair? Not very good at aerial, though. Although he's 6 foot tall, strange for his area. I suppose everything else is so strong, it just really cuts off there, doesn't it? Could have a problem with injuries, but possesses a fair amount of pace, displays resolute characteristics, could adapt well when it comes to living in another country, and his ability to do the unexpected is one of the main reasons behind his ability to go past his man. Yasser Asprilla next, thanks to one of the guys on the Twitch stream who mentioned this guy. He looks really, really good. I think he's related to Faustino Asprilla, but I might be wrong. Twitch.tv/FMWKDS, by the way, if you want to check out the live streams. You can use either foot, which is great. He's fast, he's got good composure, dribbling. He looks like he's going to be very, very good in the future. Great technique. About 12 million quid, so it's not cheap. And he does need to work on his consistency, but you can see he's a fairly loyal person, possesses a great amount of pace, and is a natural in several positions. He's an A-star signing here for my Manchester United team, which says a lot. Tobias Gulkeson, a spirited midfielder from the land of Norway. No real jump out attributes here, but the fact that he's 18 and already looks like this is a good sign. He's got determination, technique, work rate, vision, first touch dribbling, and agility, as well as stamina and some other things, and he'll only cost you about 5 million quid, which is really good. And look how dark green that consistent performer attribute is. That is what you want. Go and sign this guy without a doubt. Into the top 4, and we've got Sivert Mannsverk, another Norwegian player, really well rounded. Again, if we look at the attribute graph, I'm sure we'll see a really well rounded graph. Look at that, how juicy is that, right? Looks so, so good. Reports wise, fairly consistent performer, very adaptable, handles himself in a fairly professional manner. He's just the ideal centre midfielder, and available for around 3 million quid. What could go wrong? In at number 3 is Giovanni, an 18-year-old Brazilian winger who can play anywhere, to be fair. He's got 16 passing already, which just shows you how good this guy's going to get. Stamina 15, agility of 14 as well. So he's a bit of a workhorse. Look, work rate 12, vision 12. He's going to be amazing. His passing ability underlines his technical prowess. Could adapt well when it comes to living in another country. Can play in a couple of positions. And look, potential ability through the roof. In at number 2, Takahiro Nakai. Playing at Real Madrid, but you can prize him away for probably for about 8 million quid. Dribbling and first touch 15 and 16, passing 15, technique 16. This guy's 18 years old, don't forget. Determination 17, flair 16, and look at the work rate, vision and teamwork already being 13. He's a really exciting player, someone who I can't wait to sign. Looking at his scout reports, might have a problem with injuries, and that's quite dark red, so something definitely worth considering. Displays a fairly determined attitude though. His balance and ability on the ball make him a fairly consistent player, and he is a natural in a couple of positions. In at number 1 then is Ernst Poku, an 18-year-old Dutch balanced personality winger who can use either foot. Completely natural in all front 3 positions, and look how fast he is. 17 pace and 17 acceleration. He's gonna be insane. Reports tell us he's got a balanced and normal personality, is adept at using either foot, possesses great pace and acceleration, although he does need to work on his consistency. Here's your list of the entire 30 players listed in today's video. Feel free to write them down, screenshot it. If you do want to download it, consider hitting the join button down below. Everybody who joins as a YouTube member gets access to download every single shortlist that we've ever made. If you want to join us on Patreon as well, you get the same service, probably just a little bit cheaper. Please hit like. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit subscribe if you're new. See you soon.